All right, TGI Friday. Little good news to start this one. Earlier this afternoon, a jury sided with our Chicago police officers in the city in a use of force incident. Everybody remember the barber on the south side a couple of years ago in the South Shore with the pistol in his waistband that he was reaching for when he was shot and killed by the police. Everybody tried to make it a racial incident over there. That shame on them. They should have never shot him. He didn't do anything wrong. The usual defensive lines, which absolutely were not bought by the jury. You know, the same incident where the commander showed up on scene in her pajamas and slippers, basically. What a joke that was. But again, thankfully, those officers can breathe a little deeper and move on with their life and put this nightmare behind them when they did absolutely nothing wrong. Kudos to the jury for having some common sense. Talking about breathing a little deeper, earlier this morning, one of our officers savagely attacked off-duty in an altercation that turned extremely violent and almost deadly, repeatedly stabbed in the chest by savages. Hopefully, looking forward to some CB numbers being generated by our great detectives in this department. I talked to the officer. I was there at the hospital this morning with him. He was in decent spirits considering what happened to him. But again, it's a pretty cautionary tale about how quickly life can change. So be aware. Also, speaking of incidents, circulating right now is this nonsense about this migrant sex scandal, and the news media is all over it. There is no validity to the complaint. There is no basis or origin on where it originated from. We don't have a victim's name or anything, or victims repeatedly or multiple at this point. Who knows if it's even true? As I pointed out to some news media earlier, I could make that same complaint against the superintendent, first deputy, chief of patrol. I can go on down the line, all 12,000 plus members of this department. I could make that same allegation that they did the same thing right now because of the ridiculous Safety Act and the provision that eliminated the signed affidavit making someone attest and swear that the complaint they are making is valid. That requirement is gone. So who knows where this complaint even originated from? But to think that there is not police-hating groups that would go to any length to start this kind of nonsense because they know the media will pick it up because it's such a sensationalized story, your head's in the sand if you really think that that's not a possibility. And the sad part is, quite like many other cases where people were villainized real quickly, to circulate officers' names and take a chance at not only ruining their professional career, but their personal life is inexcusable. And if that happens, we will be right there in lockstep with those officers, holding those people accountable in the same civil court that our officers found themselves as defendants in. It shouldn't happen. We all know that it very likely probably will because that's just the way the media operates. And to some degree, we're guilty ourselves. Stop the rumors until there's some validity to the complaint. It is just that, a bunch of BS. If it did happen, we'll get to the bottom of it and we'll deal with it from there. And I'll certainly have a very clear statement and from this lodge and what its position is. Last two other things, arbitration and parental leave. The city's been informed of our intent to take them to court for parental leave. This mayor claims he is a union mayor. It couldn't be farther from the truth. He has had several weeks now to do the right thing and grant parental leave to our members. He claims that this should have never been a collective bargaining right, that it is just a morally the right thing to do, which is why he did it for the teachers. Apparently, there is no morally right thing to do when it comes to police officers in this city. There is no respect from the fifth floor of City Hall. That is clear as can be. The only bargaining unit this mayor cares about is the teachers union. He is showing his true colors. He could do the right thing today. He could have did it yesterday when I talked to his chief of staff. That didn't happen. So we are going to explore every possibility about taking this mayor to court. We will present testimony, very emotional testimony from members who have been affected, who have not been afforded the ability to bond with their children for the last 6+ months, while every other city employee pretty much has had that ability since this policy has been enacted. It's disgraceful, it's a joke, and I'm so sick of saying that this Democratic Party, especially in Chicago and Illinois, who claim they are pro-labor, can give a damn less about police when it comes to police unions. Time to pony up. Do the right thing. It's never too late. Just like the coward mayor before you who refused to do COVID designations for our officers, and we had to fight tooth and nail to get that done. We are not letting this bone go. We are going to be like a dog with it, and we are going to keep fighting for our members and for their children. Shame on you. Do the right thing. Lastly, arbitration. We have a hearing scheduled with the arbitrator next Friday. The last meeting was simple. The arbitrator was fed up. Enough of the back and forth. We weren't going to come to a language agreement on the two provisions and award that he was leaning toward putting forth. So where he left it at is this. On the 14th, he will decide between the best and final offer on language from both sides on those two provisions, the retention bonus and arbitration for termination cases. We have a very strong leg up because of his previous rulings, especially on the arbitration, that our language will be successful and not the cities. They have tried everything they do to kind of walk back their original position and lessen it and lessen it and lessen it. But we know that arbitrator Ben has been very clear in the past that a bargaining unit has the ability to go to arbitration for termination just like every other discipline. Full stop. What happens from there is out of his hands. He made that very clear. I'll just leave it at that. It's up to the city council at that point. So following that hearing next week, I don't know what time we'll conclude, but I will certainly have a video update next Friday on those two provisions and let everybody know which final language that he sided with. Until then, have a safe weekend. Take care.